guys! My name is Kamala Richter from Joyful Music Studio. Welcome to episode 2 of Joyful Learning Theory for Kids. Awesome! Good to see you. Today we will be learning about the staff. But before we get started, how many of you remember learning how to read? It was really hard, am I right? You had to learn all of the letters of the alphabet. Then once you memorize the alphabet, you have to put words together. Maybe you started by reading cat or hat, learning how to put those letters together to make words, and then being able to make bigger words and kind of sounding them out letter by letter until you can put it together. And then for some of you, now you can read books, you can read stories, you could read the menu in a restaurant. It is so cool. Learning to read is one of the coolest things that we could ever do. It's awesome. It opens up a whole new world of being able to do things. It's great. So today, I'm going to be talking to you about a similar idea, a similar thing of learning how to read notes. Okay? And it's called the staff. So the staff is kind of like a super secret code that some musicians came up with a very long time ago. So imagine this. There is a musician who wanted to play a song for his friend, but he couldn't see him. So he came up with this staff, this code of putting notes that he played on paper, and then he could send it to his friend. His friend could put it on this piano, look at the code, and be able to play the song that his friend wrote for him. How cool is that? It's like sending super secret messages to your friends. It's awesome. So today we're going to learn how to crack that code so you can learn how to read on the staff too. Are you ready? Let's go! Here's a picture of the staff. Notice that we have lines and spaces. With our treble clef and our bass clef, we have 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This place in the middle is where we find middle C. Now, the next thing we need to know to be able to crack the code is to be able to tell the difference between a line note and a space note. A line note has a line that goes directly through the middle, just like middle C and this note, which is E. A space note is a note that fits inside the spaces between the lines. All of these are space notes, as well as this note. A space note can sit on top or below the staff and still be a space note. Each key on the piano lives in a very specific line or space on the staff. For example, middle C always lives right in the middle and it has a line going through it. Middle C is a line note. Now if we were to play this C, a bass C below middle C, we would have to, that lives in this specific space right there. Before we get started on cracking the code of the staff, first we have to learn what a step is on the piano. A step moves from one note to the very next note. You can step up or you can step down. That's going to be very important for learning how to read notes on the staff. On the page, in order to step up, we have to move from a line note to a space note. Line, space, line, space, line, etc. These are all stepping up. This is how we can count on the staff by using steps. Line, space, line, space, line. That is just like stepping. Line, space, line, space, line. Now that we know how to count on the staff using steps, we can talk about landmark notes. A landmark is something that when you see it, you know exactly what it is and where you are. One landmark note is middle C. This one is easy to find because it has its own line going through it. Middle C will always have its very own line going through the middle of the note. Now, how would we find this note? Well, we know that this one is middle C, and we know that in order to count up the staff, we have to count the lines and the spaces. So middle C is a line note. A step up would be a space note. Another step up would be a line note. And our goal note is a space note. So that means that this note is the F above middle C. We can also do this by counting down the staff. Middle C can also be found above bass clef. So if we were to try to find this note, we would just have to count down by steps from middle C. Middle C is on the line. A step down would be the note in the space. A step down would be a line note. A step down would be a space note. A step down would be the line note. And another step would bring us to E. This note is called bass clef E, and it's found underneath middle C. Now you try one. Here is our landmark middle C, and I'm going to draw another note above it. Can you find what note that is? Remember that in order to count steps, you have to move from a line note to a space note to a line to a space. Did you get it? This note is an A, higher than middle C. C is a line note. Move to the space to step up. We step up to the next line, step to the next space, step to the next line, and here we are. One more step brings us to A above middle C. Good job. Now, as you keep practicing how to read notes on the staff, you will be able to do this very fast and memorize a lot more instead of having to count up one by one like that. A couple more landmark notes that are very helpful is to memorize what is on the top line and what is on the bottom line. If you know what those notes are, it will be quicker to find this note if you count down from your top line instead of having to count up from your middle C. The top line in your treble clef is sometimes referred to as floating F. This is an F that is 2 higher than middle C. This note on the bottom of the bass clef is sometimes called ground G because it's like it's on the ground. This G is 2 G's below middle C. That is your ground G. If you can memorize these three, this will give you a great head start to being able to crack the code of reading notes on the staff. Well, there you have it. Now you know how to break the code and read notes on the staff. Good for you! Now remember, just like learning how to read, it's going to take a long time and it's going to be a little bit of work. So if it's not easy right away, don't worry. Keep going. You got it. I believe in you. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you guys next time in Joyful Learning Episode 3. All right, goodbye. And remember, stay joyful.